William Samoei Ruto, it is true that you can have a gesture of fighting corruption, but you must normalize going after the big fish, because the 3.7 billion mosquito net tender that was flagged by the Global Fund is opening a Pandora box on what exactly is happening behind the scene. And sacking and firing the whole KEMSA board and the PS may not be enough in the wake of what exactly happened. If the procurement would go, then Kenya will stand to benefit. Last year in November, when Bill Gates visited the country, the 3.7 billion deal, really money was released, but the Global Fund entrusted the authorities here to spearhead the procurement process to procure 10.2 million mosquito nets that was supposed to be distributed from this year, November, as part of the project on malaria intervention. So it was to go mass net distribution and also mass campaign. I'm so much acquainted with this project because I worked under Population Services of Kenya, and I worked under this project of this malaria project then. So, what happened? That's what Kenyans want to know, and I want us to look at how this unfolded. And why I'm telling you, I believe that the sacking is a smokescreen. On 31st January, an international tender was launched to lapse for 2 weeks between 31st to 23rd February this year. The process was delayed to March after Ministry of Health, MOH, wrote a letter to KEMSA over some specifications mishap so that it can be adjusted. And even though after it was adjusted, the tender was closed on 10th March, but there was no changes to the specifications. Specifications are just the description of the nets that were supposed to be procured. So nothing changed in it. But the delay has really been blamed by powerful individuals that were influencing that tender to specifications to change so that it can suit a company of their choice. I want us to look at this in details, and with me, this is today the Star. I've gotten their version of this scandal. This other two this is Nation and Standard, and they're pointing a vector somewhere. So watch this video to the end because I'm going to show you more about it. At this juncture, allow me first to say thank you for those who are responding to our appeal. We had a one-day appeal to support this mzee here, Ruben Imela. He's diagnosed with hemorrhoids and he's currently in Mukumu Hospital in Kakamega. He's due for a surgery that is only costing 67,000. But the family are in need of a deposit of at least 50,000 so that that operation can be done and they see if they can get the support. So I'm reaching out to you on behalf of that old man. We're just running this fundraiser to raise the 50. I started last night, a Tuesday night, and I need to get it. Yes. Now, so far to the last message, and thank you very much, Rose. Thank you, Esther, Kia, Lawrence, Fidush, Henry Marangu, Teddy. Thank you, Anthony. I know I may not mention all of you, but those who are contributing, Santeni Sana. And we are at now 13,460. Yes, so we are short of the target by around 35,000. We are closing it tomorrow on Wednesday. So kindly, I've pinned the number there. Let's push so that we can help this family get through this. I will shall send that money tomorrow so that the surgery can be done. Now, the specifications were influenced by powerful politicians who wanted bidders of their choice. And you can see the way that was influenced. Now, the Global Fund is a fund that supports malaria, TB, mosquito nest distribution, amongst others. And it flagged the deal. This is according to the audit of the Global Fund. This is what these three newspapers are reporting. That according to them, the company that was awarded the tender did not meet the requirements of both Kenyan government and the Global Fund. That is what I was saying. The only company that met Kenya and Global Fund requirements was unfairly excluded from the tender evaluation. The tender was to supply 10 million nets. Now, it also dismissed the companies listed as award winners, which included Patek East Africa Limited and Shokiba Impex. Shokiba, according to Global Fund, appeared to be non-existent on the database of registrar of companies. This clearly shows there was non-conformity. There is also a clear point here that there was non-conformity with the Hustler agenda, because this is a project that is mosquito nets being donated to those at the lower part of the pyramid, and it's a health intervention. And if someone wanted to eat this such kind of money, it's really something that is regrettable. PS Josephine Buru and the whole KEMSA board were actually sacked and sent home. Number was suspended, but the PS was sacked. No, him is she's a appointee of the president, so she can be sacked. The KEMSA board was suspended pending investigation, and the ESCC are going on with that now. There's a question of how it has been done. Immediate dismissal and appointment of others. Point out, did the state prepare themselves for this? You need to give it to Global Fund, because they're so much keen on the procurement and they're learning lessons from the COVID. The COVID story, and if you follow it, there are some companies that were given tenders and they were registered 2 weeks before even the first case of COVID was reported in this country. And I remember us asking, did someone know that COVID was coming so that registers a company? So there have been about some valuable amount of money, maybe money that was supposed to go for some drugs, the condoms, and some other medical equipment, maybe I think some assets that could not be accounted for. Some drugs could not be accounted for even from the warehouse. So how KEMSA was supposed to benefit is they were to get like 10% of this tender, because they are to provide warehouse and logistics in terms of distribution. Now what has happened, Global Fund has said they are returning it to wambo.org. That is the internal, based in Geneva, internal procurement platform based in Geneva. And they're saying that William Ruto must put the house in order. So the sacking has been done. I want us to look at this in details, and there are some very few observations I'm making here. This is a purely deal went wrong. Internal sabotage and international players are involved. It has been flagged by the Global Fund, but looking at the development, of course, there were a lot of interests that played in this deal. President William Ruto must criminalize the association of state officers doing business with government. This is it. You can start making your own speculation on who are these powerful state officers that wanted to benefit from this deal. And that is why they influenced the ones at the authority to award a tender to a company that, according to the provider of the fund, according to the grant donation, the person giving the grant is not qualified. It is because kickbacks, even if it doesn't belong, someone believes that I'm going to influence so that your company X get this and I get kickbacks. There are many other stories going on in social media, and those who can follow, you can follow up what other people say. But it is high time, because if you don't do that, William Ruto must accept that those around him are also out to make wealth, to get wealth, to amass some resources for political mobilization in future. And there are people that are learning from him. So that is one thing I'm saying. Number two, Ruto successfully botched a scandal. This was a scandal in the making. Let's say it as it is. The waziri, the PS has been sacked. But I watched another, I think that was the Star, saying that CS Susan Nakumicha, I think, could not explain how much was lost, because there is no coin that has been lost, but a deal. What Kenya has lost is this. If the procurement was to go through the KEMSA way, the government was to scoop 370 million from it, because KEMSA will get some 2% on procurement, there is some 3% on warehouse, and I think some 2% or some percentage, some 5% on logistics. So because of that, they were going to benefit. Now, if the procurement is done in Geneva, then we've lost. And another factor here is, we need the dollar. We need the foreign exchange here. We're really struggling with the dollar, scarcity of dollar. So if it gets back there, we've also lost that opportunity to get the much needed dollar. So that is why it is it. Ruto botched a scandal in the making, but sacking is not enough, because you must normalize going after the big fish. If you normalize a situation where these people that are down here are just proxies, someone calls the shot from the top, and the small people here who act under duress may make some mistakes, and then you sacrifice the small fish without going after the big fish, then I don't think that's a fight to go to war. And probably I support him going for Irungu Nyakea. The Farmers Party is the party of the Farmers Party. I support that because that is a politician. So most likely with political leaning, you'll pick someone who will not highly be influenced. But I am saying this because there is bit of a level of influence. You must go after the people that call the shot, because interests are already playing there. The inflow, this is a very bad news for Kenya, because we are getting a lot of donor funding a couple of many projects, especially in the health sector and the NGOs in the health space, women empowerment, children, maternal health, most of those programs, and reproductive health, especially the FP. Most of those programs, even condoms are subsidized, by the way, and and I know NGO which worked with that. So the inflow of the donor funding is getting affected by endless scandals. The scandals are not so healthy for our image in the international space, especially in the donor funding, because I did a training on fundraising in some college, in some 1 week training on fundraising in Tanzania. And I remember one of our trainers, Jared, saying that one of the first acts in fundraising is accountability. The best way to fundraise is to be accountable for it. So even here, we normally try to put it as it is. So if we cannot be accountable, and this is in the public sector, this is something that will likely also touch in the private sector and in the NGO. And so there is no value for us spending taxpayers' money in millions, rushing to sign bilateral MOUs and deals with other countries, while it's just for embezzlement. There is no need. Why are we spending money to look for the big money that it's only when it gets here, we start now taking corners and corridors around it? Yes, it is a good gesture, and sometimes you give credit where it's due. It's a good gesture that you have decided that, look here, I want to crack the whip. It's a good gesture that will crack the whip. But this is the truth. The people that have been sent home and suspended are those who we believe are shareholders, and those who we were told are the people that will subscribe to the hustler agenda or bottom-up economic model. So what President Ruto must understand here is that those who he believes, are these people who are technically innate or people who are appointed on political correctness, that's not it. Because to fight the corruption, it goes down to the system. Fix the system so that it doesn't matter who comes in, because human intervention in this country or anywhere, when money is involved and there is human intervention where someone can influence the tender, people will always try to pull it on their end. So it's upon President Ruto to crack the whip and call the shot. If something is wrong, let it be as it is. I don't understand, and I'm yet to be convinced, that the top leadership of the country, starting with the president, was not on the know, while at 3.7 billion was in somewhere in government, it was somewhere. We had been given 3.7 billion, and president did not know, cabinet were not aware of this. I'm yet to be convinced, because I'm seeing just the sacking as a smoke screen. And look at the way it has done. Previous night was saying, I will act. Then the next day you sack and suspend people, and immediately as you sack your point. So look at that time frame. It has taken very fast. Very questionable. That's my take, guys.